What's up guys, Ben Milliken here, back for Mystery Tackle Box. You know, a lot of parts of the country, the majority of the country, winter has set in. Unless you live way down south, the temperatures are extremely cold and those water temperatures have followed along into the 40s and 30s. So that means a couple things. You know, first off, we need to slow down our presentation, but secondly, it's not really the end of the season. You don't have to go pack it in. It doesn't mean you're not going to be able to catch fish. As long as you got open water and a little bit of patience, you're going to be able to catch fish this time of year. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you a bunch of different types of ways I like to approach winter bass fishing when these temperatures get extremely cold. You don't want to miss this one. Now, I'd be absolutely lying to you guys if I said this winter what I really wanted to do was go out and be super patient and just inch a little tiny bait along the bottom of the lake, counting every single rock. That does work, and slowing down here is super important. But the first way I like to go out and try to catch fish in the winter is to get a moving bait bite. And so one of the baits in our mystery tackle box that we can actually catch fish on a moving bait in super cold weather is this new Weston Baby Bite DR crankbait. So this bait is a lot like a shad wrap crankbait, which means it's a nice narrow slender body. You're going to notice that out of the package, with more of a narrow lip. It's going to have a little bit tighter of an action than like a big wide wobbling crankbait, but at the same time it's got a big enough bill it's going to dive down well into the 8 to 10 foot range. So the main thing I'm looking for when I'm fishing a bait like a shad wrap or this Weston DR crankbait this time of the year is anytime you have a steeper 45-degree angle chunk rock bank. Any type of chunk rock or man-made riprap, whatever it is, a crankbait like this is absolutely deadly. Now, I'm not just going to go out and cast as far as I can, just burn it in as quick as I can either. Once again, winter, it's extremely cold. The water's down in the 40s and 30s in a lot of cases, and one of my favorite ways to fish this bait is to make a long cast at a 45-degree angle with that steeper bank and just kind of slowly drag the rod tip down 3 or 4 feet at a time, reel up the slack, and then just do it over and over again. Now, an additional tip I'll give you guys whenever you're using a bait like this Weston Baby Bite DR, a shad wrap, or any type of minnow profile bait, is to weight it down using lead wire. You can wrap this lead wire around the hooks of your bait and make it do a lot of different things. You know, you can make it slow sink, you can make it suspend, or you can make it very slow rise. All of which can be very important during the winter months. You know, like I said, you're just going to be dragging that bait along and then reeling up the slack. So it's going to act almost like a jerk bait. It's going to sit there right in place, right in that fish's face. The fish this time of year don't want to chase a bait around a lot of times, and so that's an awesome way you can fish a faster moving bait, but you can fish it a lot more slower and naturally at the same time. Another moving bait we can use to coax bites from bass in these super cold temperatures when they're really lethargic is with the old-fashioned scrounger head. This is a bait system that Mystery Tackle Box is going to be throwing in a lot of boxes, and what it's called is the Jinko Fishing Trimmer Pack. So what's included in this package is a Jinko Fishing Trimmer head, which is basically like the old-fashioned scrounger head except with a beefed up hook, really high quality hook, and then the Jinko Trimmer Shad. So what this bait basically does, and what makes it so effective, is it's extremely natural in the water column. The scrounger head has a really nice tight wobbling action, so it makes it almost a hybrid between a crankbait and a swim bait, except this doesn't have a big wide wobbling crankbait tail. It just has this, it just comes to a point, and it's super soft plastic, so it has a lot of action on it, which is really good in those cold temperatures. So the way I like to fish this Jinko bait's trimmer head setup is to make a long cast over any type of deep cover, whether it be a deep dock over the top of a brush pile in 15 or 20 feet of water, or even just making a long cast if you're bank fishing and off of a really deep break, the deepest, steepest part of the lake you can find, and just slow winding this back to the boat or the shore, whatever you're fishing. This bait has enough action on its own. You don't need to impart any action with your rod tip. All you need to do is cast it out there, let it sink to the bottom, and just slow roll it back. Like I said, this has extremely natural movement, and it's a bait that's really caught on the ledge fishing lakes in the summer because it's a great follow-up bait after you throw that big wide wobbling crankbait or a big spoon or something like that. this natural presentation can get a lot of fish to bite in all different water temperatures, even in that 30 to 40 degree range. So now that we've talked about a couple moving baits we can use to catch bass as we move into December and all the way into January that are coming in our mystery tackle box, let's talk about a couple really slow moving bottom contact baits we can use that'll be very effective as well. The first one I want to talk to you guys about is the Ketchco Death Stalker. This one is exclusive to mystery tackle box. It's a really cool take on the traditional blade bait. So this blade bait right here, it has a really natural finish on it. It has a nice metallic holographic finish, a nice lighter wire but high quality extra wide gap hook. And then it has this blade on the back as well, this willow leaf blade on a ball bearing swivel. So it's gonna have a ton of action, whether that be with the vibration of the bait, which kind of works like a lipless crankbait, or with this spinning blade on the back. It's really gonna cause a lot of commotion in the water. Now, while this bait looks like a lipless crankbait, and a lot of people have caught fish on it, casting it out and just burning it back to the boat over the years, that's effective in the early fall to mid-fall months. But when we're fishing in the winter and super cold water in January and February and December, we're gonna fish this bait completely different from that. So the basic retrieve I like on this blade bait, and it's something I've really been experimenting with a lot lately, is making a long cast over any type of steep drop-off area. And you can even do it bank fishing, where you're on the bank, you just make a long cast out to the middle. You're gonna let this guy go all the way to the bottom. So the way you're gonna work it back to you is you're just gonna make short little pumps to the rod, not big rips. You want this bait to go 6 inches to 2 feet off the bottom, just to kind of see what the fish are wanting that day. So the last bait we're going to talk about today, which is a slower moving, more bottom contact bait, is the good old 6-inch plastic worm. Now, if you watch videos on my channel, you know I catch a stupid number of fish on a simple worm just like this one. This is the Big Bite Baits Crete Tail 6-inch worm, and it comes in a black color is what I got in my mystery tackle box. So the way I like to fish this bait is on a Texas rig this time of the year, and I fish it this way all times of the season. But right now I fish it on a Texas rig on like a 1/4 ounce to a 5/16 ounce weight. I never peg that, and then I put it on like a 3/0 straight shank hook. Super simple rigging system, but so effective. So the type of body of water I like to throw this plastic worm on in the winter months is any lake that has a lot of shallow, muddy water. You know, I wish they could all be steep banked with really clean water, but that's not always what we're faced with. So I'll always hook this up on a Texas rig, an unpegged Texas rig with a 1/4 to 5/16 ounce weight. And I always unpeg it, like I said. That allows for a lot more natural falling action. And the way I fish this is a lot different than the summer months. You know, in the summer, I'll flip this around any types of brush piles, laydowns, docks. I'll pop it a few times. If I don't get a bite, I'll reel it in and flip it onto the next one. You can't do that in the winter. The approach I like to use is in the same areas, but those fish will hold on the different types of cover a lot differently. They'll still be next to those laydowns, brush piles, docks, stuff like that, but they're almost holding on them just because it's a hard piece of cover. So instead of popping that bait up really hard, I'll just simply drag it along the bottom and kind of work it through any type of grass or brush or whatever really slowly, and that draws a ton of bites for me in the winter. Well, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you can use those 4 different approaches this winter when this water gets insanely cold to try to catch some bass and, of course, stay warm. Thanks a ton for watching. I will catch you guys next time.